percentage of the homeless population. And they don't necessarily come with the same bucket of issues of chronic substance abuse or mental health issues. They're just people who, for whatever reason, are very down on their luck economically and no longer can find a place to live, which make them a very sympathetic and urgently needed segment of our population that needs help. And there was a big story that was done on this. And I think what we're going to do is do more of a deep dive on it in the coming weeks. But I wanted to just bring it to your attention. And of course, Chris Curran is, I think, an important part of this conversation because he is with an organization called Care Patrol CT, and he comes on our show every quarter. And he provides free assistance for people who are looking for senior housing solutions, who are frequently downsizers with some health problems or some chronic issues of aging, mental or physical, that would basically make it in their best interest to be in a senior community. And he's really good at that. And he knows the vast range of money and what you get for the money in various places in Connecticut, because it is not one size fits all, and we are not one size fits all. So he's a good person to continue to have that conversation with. But in general, I just wanted you to know that apparently we reached the bottom in terms of bottoming out of our homeless population, and now it's creeping up again. And we want to be paying attention to seniors. 203-333-9422. We're going to come right back with Marissa Gillette, who is the chairwoman of PURA, our Public Utility Regulatory Authority. I'm going to get into it with her and ask her the questions you probably want to know anyway. But if you have specific questions or comments, she does take calls, and it's your opportunity to speak with her at 203-333-9422. We'll be right back.
You've got your favorite websites that you check out each and every day, sometimes a few times a day. But if you want Southern Connecticut's news and information leader, take your browser to WICC600.com. You'll be able to stream all of your favorite WICC talk shows, check out past show podcasts, enter to win contests, find out about upcoming local events, sign up for our email newsletter, and so much more. It's the best way to stay informed in Fairfield County. Just bookmark us, WICC600.com.
Find the right senior living or dementia care community for your loved one with me, Chris Curran of Care Patrol. Care Patrol is the nation's #1 free concierge placement service for seniors and their families.
Chris from Care Patrol was an absolute pleasure to work with. He made the process of finding the right place for my father-in-law incredibly easy. I'm so thankful. And my father-in-law is in a safe and happy place.
Call me at 203-448-7414 or visit carepatrolct.com.
This is your Optimum weather update. Today, expect a hot and humid mix of sun and clouds, and don't count out isolated showers and thunderstorms later on. Highs in the mid to upper 90s with a heat index between 90 and 95. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny and less humid, highs in the mid to upper 70s. This report powered by Optimum Business. Get fast, secure internet for your business with 99.9% network reliability. Call 855-2-OPTIMUM or visit optimum.com/business today.
Are the taxes on your financial savings cutting into your retirement? Do you truly understand the taxes on your IRAs and 401ks? Would you like a future where your taxes are minimized and investments are sound? If you're nearing or in retirement, have at least a $250,000 portfolio, Bridgelight Financial Advisors can help. Call for a complimentary consultation. They'll show you real tax savings on your savings. 203-795-7080. 203-795-7080. Bridgelight Financial Advisors, your retirement tax strategy specialists.
Go to WICC600.com. Enter to win tickets to see I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change, coming to Center Stage Theater in Shelton September 20th to the 29th.
Here's why Fairfield County listens to Lisa Wexler.
Her interviews are clear, she's articulate, and she's honest and genuine.
WICC 600 AM and 107.3 FM.
And welcome back to the show. Joining us now, the woman of the hour, the woman of the month, Marissa Gillette. How many times has your name been mentioned? Do you realize what kind of havoc has been wreaked on the Connecticut community with respect to these crazy utility bills? Hello, Marissa Gillette. Thank you so much for coming on our show every month. You're the best. Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Lisa.
Have you been following these news stories? I mean, CT Capitol Report has an entire heading above the banner just about all of these calls by Vin Candelora and others, Stephen Harding in the Republican side, demanding answers from the Democrats. We've had Jonathan Steinberg on, who's head of the Energy and Technology Committee, Stephen Harding on, all saying that, saying different things, but basically agreeing that our utility bills are not what the public expected. And when you dissented in a 2-1 dissent, and I have the dissent in front of me, you basically called it, and you knew that Connecticut people were not going to be happy with this, which is why you dissented. And you said, ultimately, while I am disappointed by today's decision, I'm eager to continue the complex and necessary conversations with my colleagues and stakeholders. But you started out by saying the residents and businesses of Connecticut are no strangers to the high cost of electricity in this state. And there it is. Marissa Gillette, hello, and welcome to the show. Is there anything that I can have you add to your official written dissent on this matter since all of this has started clamoring for PURA to change its mind?
I will say that, we've talked before, and I know from your role as a judge that PURA as a quasi-judicial agency is limited to discussing things that are pending before us. And we do have several motions for reconsideration pending in front of us. So I unfortunately can't speculate on how PURA is going to rule on that. I stand by my dissent regarding the July 1 rates. I think we collectively need to spend a lot more time educating customers on everything from soup to nuts, on how to read their bills, how to engage with PURA, how to engage with policymakers. There even things as simple as educating folks that the public benefits charges are not new. There's just simply more transparency around your bill these days. So I think we have let customers down by not explaining that your bills are tied to usage. And we just had a lot go wrong in July, from, an accelerated time period for recovery that I really did not support, to the fact that July was one of the hottest months on record, and your bill is directly tied to how much you use. And I think that really resulted in rate shock for a lot of people in even a worse way than I had predicted.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the public is we're just out of sight. Maybe because the first month of that coincided with an extraordinarily hot month in July.
Absolutely. And, I think we all had the best intentions. July, we've spent a lot of time on previous months talking about the supply portion of folks' bills. And in July, we were seeing your supply rates decrease for the first time in a while, which is great. And so there was, a thought that by aligning that decrease in supply at the same time that there was going to be an increase in public benefits, the thought was that would, kind of cushion the impacts for ratepayers. And I think it did to some degree, but, when you have public benefits rates that are charged based on the volume of electricity that you're using, it's just, there's not a lot that you can do to mitigate that.
And is there any hope in sight, Marissa Gillette, we're chatting with the chairwoman of PURA, for cheaper electric rates? In other words, do we have any hope in sight for that? In other words, on the usage itself, on the kilowatt hours? Sure.
I think it's always a good time to remind folks to engage in the energy efficiency programs that the state offers. They're administered by the utilities, but these are state-backed programs that you're paying for in your bill already. So if you haven't taken advantage of a home energy audit, if you haven't shopped around for an electric supplier and made sure that you're getting the best rate, there are things that you can be doing to focus on lowering your bill at the individual level. Also a great time to consider solar. At the macro level, in terms of all the different complexities with your bill, I think it's probably the first time folks are tuning in and understanding there's a difference between your supply rates, your transmission rates, your distribution rates, your public policy rates. There are 4 different types of charges on your bill. And there are different ways to influence each of those charges. There are different solutions to each of those buckets. And I think if there's anything good that comes out of all of this, I really do welcome the conversations about how we can tackle each of those buckets, because Pura doesn't have direct control over each of those buckets. We're stakeholders just like you. So I am looking forward to constructive conversations whenever the legislature is back in session on things that we can do together.
Has this been, have you been feeling, Marissa Gillette, have you and the other commissioners been feeling any particular pressure one way or another as people that are here? Because, there's some other slings and arrows that have been thrown at you in terms of just a lot of noise that Eversource and other companies are making.
Sure. I will say, as the head of the agency, I certainly am really sensitive to the tone of everything that's being directed at my staff of this agency. I think folks are looking for an outlet, and certainly we are tracking and taking complaints, and we want to make sure that folks understand their bills and point out areas that they're eligible for a different rate. So we're continuing to engage with the public. It is difficult when this isn't something that I supported. So I think I'm really focused on making sure that my staff are adequately supported because they really do such great work. And I want to focus on all of the positives that we've been able to achieve, including a number of victories at the Supreme Court and Superior Court level that we've spoken about previously. So I'm not really bothered by the noise. I think I have a great set of staff and colleagues, and we're really focused on, putting one foot after the other and doing the best we can for ratepayers and future dockets.
Let's go to Dottie from Bridgeport. Dottie, do you have a question for Marissa Gillette, the chairwoman of Pura?
And I'm
Dottie?
starting to think,
Dottie?
Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, 81 years young, and I'm starting to think that I do need to go, if I can get a job where I could work out of my house. My total income is $19,000, and I haven't asked for help from the utility companies, but I think I'm going to have to do that if I can't get a job, because on a fixed income, I know I'm one of the lucky seniors that I can, because I sold my house in Fairfield, paid cash for my condo, and that's why I've been able to live on, it was even less than $19,000 over the years. I retired when I was 75. But I'm scared, and I know a lot of my senior friends we're all scared. And we thank you for being the one light who did seem to understand that there were people like us, that we worked hard all our lives. I put 5 children through college, 3 were my stepchildren. So it's not like I've been sitting on my fanny and eating candy.
Wow, Dottie. Come on, that's amazing. So, Dottie, I'm hearing you say, and listen, $19,000 a year is, I believe, poverty level, Dottie.
It is,
so
honey.
I'm sure that you must qualify for something. Marissa Gillette, what can we do for Dottie?
Absolutely, Dottie. Thank you so much for the question and comment. I really, I think it's critical that everyone involved in the decision-making space in the state hear stories like yours, because it's really easy to get disconnected from how our decisions affect people. So I really thank you for speaking up. Lisa's absolutely right. There are a lot of programs, and I really encourage folks not to pass up the opportunity to look into these programs. We have the low income discount rate that's getting launched that you may qualify for. We have simple things like payment arrangements, budget billing. And frankly, we've seen more and more engagement from folks like you providing comments into our dockets. AARP, if you're a member, has done some really great.
Thank God they helped me with my taxes. Everything. Hey, we're proud. We're proud. And it's hard for me to call in and to admit, what I admit is, but I realize that if I don't face it head on, I don't want to get myself in any kind of trouble. So that's why my joke is I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but I can't eat it constantly. You have to have good nutrition.
100%. Listen to me. I want to be really clear. Marissa Gillette, is there a telephone number that Dottie can call to sign up for some break here?
Sure. I absolutely encourage folks to first contact your utility and ask them whether you qualify for financial hardship programs.
Okay.
If you have difficulty getting a hold of your utility, if you're enrolled in any DSS program across the state, we now have mandated data sharing, so you don't even have to do anything. DSS shares the data with the utilities.
So, in other words, if you're on Husky, right, or you're on Medicaid.
I am now. I do qualify for Medicare, and because I'm a senior, they call it Medicaid, which I don't tell everybody, but I do qualify for that. So now what I have to do is take the next step and let the utility companies know that I am on Medicaid.
That's right.
And up to now, I haven't because I've been proud. And
I want you to,
but
Dottie.
I'm scared now that I might not be. I have to swallow my pride.
It's not about pride. Honestly, you've worked your whole life. It's beautiful, and there's nothing. What do you mean pride? There's nothing shameful about it. You pay taxes,
I do feel a little
and now
shameful about it.
no, Dottie, listen to me. You pay taxes, and
That's
this is a
right.
way of the taxes coming back to help you. That's all
That's
it
right.
is.
Thank
That's
you,
it.
Lisa.
Yeah,
and I know I'm helping
Dottie,
somebody else out there. There are people who don't make even $19,000, Lisa.
I know
that.
I know
that. Okay, ladies, you've given me the courage to get some help because I have to.
So, do you have UI or Eversource?
UI. I live in the north end of Bridgeport. So I
Okay,
have UI.
so you're going to call UI, and then you're going to call me back, and I'm going to have to know that this has been resolved in a bow. Because
Thanks, Lisa.
I want to know this, Dottie, because if they've given you a problem, I'll
they
call
won't.
them myself.
No, they won't, Lisa. See, I help people. This is my problem. I always helped everybody. I did only the Medicare for the hospital. I helped so many people. It's just hard to ask for help now. I'm amazed that I used to hear stories like this, but now it's my story.
It's okay.
They're just,
It's okay. That's what the funds are there for. They're there for people like you.
You're only as sick as your secrets, and so that was one of my secrets why I wouldn't admit that I needed help.
Okay, sweetheart.
I'm going to be okay.
You are.
The fact that I called and admitted it, that means, and the fact that you want me to follow through with you, and you know I will. You know I will. I'll let you know what
Dottie,
they say.
listen to me. Do you have an email?
I do.
Okay. I would like Eric. Eric, can you hear me? I want Eric to take your email. We're going to invite you to our next lunch with Lisa, okay? You'll be a special guest. I hope you'll come. I'm going to have Dottie come. Marissa, you still there?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
And Lisa, I really appreciate you taking calls and hearing from Dottie. I think it's also a really great opportunity to explain to listeners because I think there's been, some misinformation around the portion of your bill that's going to pay for financial hardship programs or programs that help out our neighbors. And I always think that this is one of the most misunderstood pieces about utility rate making. If a utility is not paid, so just let's say I don't pay my bill, it doesn't come out of the utility's bottom line. Utilities are legally entitled to be made whole for any services that they were provided. This is U.S. Supreme Court precedent that's decades and decades old. So you and I have always and will always pay for people's bills that go unpaid because it's not coming out of the utility's bottom line. So it's really incumbent on us as decision makers, as policymakers, to try to come up with programs to get people to meet them where they are and get them to pay as much as they can for these bills. Because historically speaking, if you had a $100 bill and you could only pay $5, you were going to pay $0 because the outcome was going to be the same. You were going to get turned off no matter what. But if we set up a program where you pay $50 this month and that's going to keep your lights on, that's $50 more that is going towards these arrearages that doesn't come out of your and my pocket. So it's just not as black and white as saying, they didn't pay their bill. That should come out of the utility's bottom line. So I hope that's a little bit of insight into how complicated these issues are.
Yeah, it is.
And how it's really important that people take advantage of programs if they need them.
So let me ask you this, Marissa. And I know you're not a Medicaid DSS person, but at an income of $19,000 for a single household, which is definitely considered to be poverty level, I would imagine that Dottie's going to get a substantial break on her utility bill. Wouldn't you imagine that?
She should call and ask if she qualifies for the low-income discount rate program. Right now, it's structured as a 10% discount if you're at a certain level of income, and then you can get up to a 50% discount.
Okay.
And she may even qualify for that tier.
So it's a sliding scale depending upon your income.
It is.
Okay.
It is. And we're currently looking at whether those tiers are appropriately designed right now, if we're having anybody fall in the cracks. But
well, if it's a $700 bill, 50% is still $350. There are going to be people in certain income ranges that are not going to be able to swing that.
Absolutely. And it's really important that we start looking at this holistically. Does that household have access to the energy efficiency and weatherization programs? Are they enrolled with an appropriate supplier and getting the best rates that they can? I think we just really need to take a step back and make sure that we're meeting customers where they are and explaining all aspects of their bill and what's within their control and what's not.
Okay. Well, there's one more caller. He's been holding for like 25 minutes. Jose from Shelton, do you have a question for Marissa Gillette, our chairwoman of PURA?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Lisa. I got a couple of questions. Is her agency a state agency, or are they paid state employees?
Yes, I can answer that.
Yes.
Yes. What's the second question?
And the second question is, how do you get off on raising the rates 100% with the average worker / Social Security recipient only gets 2 to 5% annual raise? That doesn't jive.
Yeah, well, I don't like the way you phrase the question, Jose. I'm telling you right now, you don't get to speak to my guest. How do you get off on? Can you rephrase it in a nicer, more polite way?
Yeah, how do you raise the rates 100%? My bill used to be $300. Now it's over $1,000.
Well, that's what we've been talking about. You're speaking.
So that's actually a 300% increase.
Yeah.
When I only get a 2.5% annual increase in my retirement.
I'm hearing it. Listen, that frustration.
How do you?
I get it, Jose.
Comprehend that.
I get it. And that frustration, by the way, Marissa, is not going to be unfamiliar to you. You're now hearing the public angry because these utility rate increases have far surpassed our income. So here it is. So, Marissa, what is your response to that? And as a regulator, how do you see all of that?
Sure. I appreciate the question and the frustration. It's certainly not unique to what I've been hearing. I will say, I think Lisa covered this at the start of the show. I didn't support the current increase. So I understand that is challenging for folks. There is a lot that goes into your utility bill. I would really encourage you to watch one of the Pure 101 videos, educate yourself about how to participate in these dockets. We are a quasi-judicial agency, which means we make decisions based on evidence in the record before us. And it's increasingly important that customers participate in our dockets by letting us know what you're seeing on the ground with the utilities that are serving you, so that we can make decisions with everyone's perspective taken into account. In the meantime, I would encourage you to take advantage of any of the opportunities that we've been discussing on this show, looking into a third-party supplier, registering a complaint with your utility company, looking into energy efficiency programs. I do really share your frustration and appreciate you voicing that concern. I hope you're able to take away something from today's show.
Yeah. I mean, Marissa, this is, listen, you are somebody who has to, adjudicate rate increases. You don't create them. And sometimes you say no to them. And then you even get more flack from the pro-business people and the lobbyists who say, wait a minute, you're not making Connecticut a good enough place to have a monopoly do utilities, which, I don't buy. But no matter what you do, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, frankly. And you're in a position where though you have so-called authority, you're still one of a board of 3. You don't always win. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But Jose, if you're listening, you should understand that we are actually speaking with somebody who has made a reputation in trying to the best of her ability to make the utility companies understand that some of their rate increase requests are unreasonable. And they don't want to hear that because they're used to Pura being a rubber stamp for everything they wanted to do. And so Marissa Gillette has to some extent been a disruptor. She's shaken the trees. She has the full confidence of the governor, incidentally, who asked her to serve another term. And she has a tremendous amount of confidence from the legislature as well. But these are not simple issues with simple solutions. I wish that they were. And Marissa, we really thank you for coming on every single month. You've been doing this now for a couple of years. Was yesterday the first day of school for your kids?
Today, actually.
Today. Oh, what a big day.
Yes.
Are they happy
Yes,
with
it was
their
a big day.
teachers? Are they happy with their teachers?
They are. They started third grade today. So
You've got twins in
yeah.
third grade. Third grade's such a big year. Third grade was my
Yes.
biggest year. I remember thinking I'm a person when I was 9. I remember thinking that. I do. I remember.
Yes, I think they still teach cursive, so we'll see.
No, cursive. I remember thinking I'm a person. I remember walking down the hallway of number 6 school. That was the very creatively named public school that I went to, PS number 6. And I remember thinking, and I had Mrs. Katz as a teacher, and I remember thinking, I'm a person now. I'm 9. I remember that. I was in third grade. And the thing about third grade is that they learn a lot of new material. It's very important they go to school this year. That's a lot of things
Yes.
in the third grade curriculum. Yeah, it's a big year. Oh, how exciting
Absolutely.
for you. Oh. Did you get them all the
Yes.
school supplies? That was always my favorite day, getting the kids new school supplies. It's my favorite thing.
I did, although I did cop out a little bit and order off Amazon this year. So
Really? Oh, see,
they're all there.
Yeah, I made the kids know it was so much fun because, and Joanna remembers this, it was the one shopping a year that I would say to the kids, there's no budget. Whatever you want.
Oh.
Whatever you want. And they
so
would
fun.
go down the aisles, and I think it was Staples for a long time. And they would just, whatever colored markers or special paper, pencil cases and notebooks and tabs and dividers. Oh, I loved all that stuff. I let them buy whatever they wanted. So exciting.
Oh, how fun. What
Yeah.
a great memory.
Oh, it's the best. Marissa Gillette, chairwoman of Pure, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to come on today and always.
Thank you, Lisa. I'll see you next month.
You bet. We're going to transcribe this conversation. It will be available on the Lisa Wexler blog on WordPress. All you have to do is just, say Lisa Wexler, Marissa Gillette should come right up. Google loves blogs. And we'll transcribe it sometime today. So if you didn't have a chance to hear it all, we'll have it on the podcast for sure. But sometimes people like to see in writing what she said. So once in a while, we transcribe our interviews, and we will do that for Marissa Gillette. We're going to be right back. Wayne Winston joins us every Wednesday right here on WICC. Stick around.
It's the Lisa Wexler Show on WICC 600 AM and 107.3 FM. If you missed any of the show today, Lisa's podcast is always available 24/7.
Are you a skilled welder, pipe fitter, journeyman industrial electrician, or warehouse worker, forklift driver who's seeking full-time opportunities, benefits, advancement, and a safe working environment? It's time you get on board with Onboard USA. For 44 years, Onboard USA has been supporting communities by providing labor support to businesses while extending white glove service to their employees and clients. Let Onboard USA put their 44 years experience to work for you. Visit onboardusa.com and click careers to get started. onboardusa.com.
Discover the finest flooring in Southern Connecticut at Courtesy Carpet. With over 50 years experience, we've got your flooring needs covered. From intricate area rugs, durable vinyl and laminate to elegant stair runners. Shop anywhere, but make sure to see us before you buy. Visit courtesycarpet.com to explore our extensive selection. Visit Ellen, Jay, and the team at Courtesy Carpet, Route 111 in Monroe. Trust us, the experts in quality flooring. Because at Courtesy Carpet, your satisfaction is our courtesy.
And now, it's not just black and white with Wayne Winston. Now on the Lisa Wexler Show on Southern Connecticut's news and information leader, WICC 600 AM and 107.3 FM.
And welcome back to the Lisa Wexler Show. Every Wednesday, Wayne Winston joins us, and we mix it up about issues sometimes of race, sometimes of just generally speaking being in the same human race together. We talk about a lot of things, and we call it not just black and white. 203-333-9422 is our number. Wayne, I saw a story this week
Mm-hmm.
that I brought to your attention offline, and I really wanted to bring to your attention online.
Yes.
Right here. And that was a story about how the public perception is that there are higher rates of police shootings in cities.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, according to Axios, they're not sure. And there was a new study that is showing that rural and suburban areas in the United States are seeing higher rates of police shootings than urban areas. So when I first saw that, Wayne, I thought, okay, let's look at that. And I initially jumped to a conclusion that maybe it would mean that more white people, who we tend to think of as living in rural and suburban areas, in fact, were the victims of police shootings than we otherwise knew. But let me tell you what this analysis does, and this is Vanderbilt University. It's saying this: from 2015 to 2020, 45% of all shootings by law enforcement occurred in rural areas, 22% in the suburbs. So if you add it up, it's suburbs and rural are more than urban. This was a study published in the June edition of the American Journal of Preventive Medicine. But here's the thing. Notwithstanding the fact that they are in suburban and rural areas, it says that a lot of the shootings disproportionately are still of black people. And I just want to see this. Let's see. Black and Native American residents of urban areas. Are there many Native American residents of urban areas? I don't think so.
Well,
We're most disproportionately affected by police shootings, but injury rates were also high among suburban and rural black residents. And these groups' per capita rates of injury from shootings by police were 3 to 5 times higher than rates of injury among whites living in similar areas. So in other words, no matter where a black person lives or a Native American person in America, it seems to be that the statistical probability that they're going to be injured by police is much higher for them than it is of white people, no matter where they live. And I just thought that was I thought it was an eye-opening study.
Well, I appreciate that that study because it shows that there's something going on pertaining to how we are dealt with as people of color, as black people in particular.
By the way, just one thing. Melissa, can you just take a look? Okay, it was off. I don't understand what's going on. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So, by the way, we have cameras in the studio now.
We do.
So if you tune in,
but you're not.
live,
you're not on when you're talking.
Oh, well, they'll have to figure that out.
They will. That camera's supposed to be on. Okay. That's why you're sitting there.
Well, hey, we'll try to
do me a
figure
favor.
that
Text
out
Alan. Yeah. She's going to text Alan.
See if that does anything. Well, we'll roll because the clock's running on us. So
I could say something really politically incorrect, like you're going to a black screen.
Hey, listen, something's going on here.
You're going to a black screen.
They don't want the black guy.
I don't know what that is.
That's what's going on, man.
All right, you know what? Switch positions with Melissa because that one was working last week.
Okay, well, I'm going to switch.
Hold on.
Okay.
All right, we're going to do that.
Yes.
We're going to get the handsome Wayne Winston on the air for not only audio but also for video. And then let me see if that works, because theoretically all cameras are supposed to be on. Let's see if yours is on as well. I think it is because we briefly had a shot of Melissa during a commercial break. So let's see.
Okay, are we better?
Well, we'll find out in a minute. Talk. You can talk. Bicker. You can talk what you want, but it's different
there
than
we
it was.
go.
There you
All
go.
right, now it's working.
Well,
so
we didn't want to discriminate against you, Wayne.
Hey, well, I'm happy to hear that. This is a non-discrimination environment
platform,
here, okay?
Exactly.
You're darn right.
That's right.
So
anyway, yeah.
We talk about this so much, Lisa, and this study just shows what we know as black people already. Your psychology towards a culture is really what we're talking about. That we're many times guilty and we have to prove ourselves innocent because we're not getting the same process. You have an airman who was shot by a police officer, lived in a suburban apartment recently. He was an airman. He's talking to his girlfriend on the phone. Somebody made a call. An
airman? What do you mean by an airman?
He was a soldier.
Oh, okay.
And there's so many of them. I mean, we don't even talk about 10% because there's so many. But this particular one, he He was a young guy, he's like 22 years old, and he's talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime. Somebody says that there's something going on in the building, which is not unusual. When the policeman comes to investigate, he's got his phone in his hand, and he opens the door, and within a few seconds, he shoots the young man and kills him.
Oh.
And, of course, it is we thought he had a weapon because we heard there's a domestic dispute, et cetera, blah, 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 and blah. Now, obviously, he's dead, and it's too typical a story.
Oh, yeah. What was the name of that woman, the black woman? This was not in an urban community. This was some rural or suburban community, I think.
Sandra Massey.
That's it, Sandra Massey.
Same thing.
If you haven't seen, let's just say for a moment, MASSEYSONDRA, if you haven't seen this video, which is widely available on YouTube, you need to see it. It tells a story because the police had to wear cameras. Otherwise, we would never have known.
Mm-hmm.
And these two police officers are coming to a woman's home, and they knock on her door first. And this is what I remember of it. I remember that she's just agitated and upset because she just is. And it seems like to me, with my eyes, that this is a woman who needs a lot of patience and a lot of kindness to figure out why she called the police. She called the police and what's going on with her. And she's living in a one floor apartment. And there's a living room, and then there's a counter, and behind the counter is like a little galley kitchen with a stove and whatnot. And at some point during this interaction with two police, and they're yelling at her, and she's trying to calm the situation, so she tries to make a cup of tea. She puts something on the counter, something with a tea kettle. And one of the police officers, not both of them, but one of them gets completely freaked out.
Yeah.
And he thinks she's going to throw hot water on him or something, and she's in this house coat, and she's a thin, frail, elderly black woman. Anyway, he gets crazy about it, and he put down the kettle, screaming at her. She's frightened. She's upset. She doesn't put it down fast enough for him, and he shoots her in cold blood and kills her. And it's all on video. And you cannot believe within a matter of 30 to 60 seconds of this woman answering her door to let police in that she's been killed by one of the police officers. And then they try and cover it up. You saw that, right?
Always the best part. You know, some story, and that's where we have a problem on the other end. Because it's like...
And they have no remorse. They have no oh my God, what did I do? Even the other cop doesn't run up to her, get a pulse, call 911, say, What did you just do? What did you just do? Nothing.
Yeah, he says she's gone. Don't worry
Leave her
about
alone.
It, you know.
She's gone. She's not a threat to us anymore. We're going to just go about our business. And then one of them starts to realize, I think we might be in trouble. Not, let's call 911. Maybe the woman hasn't bled out and can still be saved. But, we might be in trouble.
And the tragedy is she called them because she thought she heard a prowler outside.
Yes, that's right. She was trying to use the police to protect her.
And when they come in, she says, please, don't hurt me. And the videos show that because we have the mistrust, and people go like, why can't you trust the police? Because there's that thread.
Sandra Massey. What state was it?
I'll have to
I don't
check.
remember.
But, she, and here she is calling for help, and he literally says to her, if you don't stop, I'm going to shoot you. And then he does shoot her. And she says, just before then, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
That's
something
what
like
we
that.
say when we're just like, hey, this is an uncomfortable situation. I rebuke you. Just keep that drama with you. And he shot her. Not long after that, a bullet comes out the back of her head. And so...
It was so terrible. I'll never forget that video.
It's something that is another unfortunate situation that we chalk up. That's why they say their name. And that's why you will hear those names so that we don't forget. So America doesn't forget. It's just one more thing. And remember, the ones that we get are the ones that we can prove.
Clearly, that if they were not wearing a body cam, this would have been explained as something radically different.
And they really did try to. So
it was horrible.
That's why when you have stuff like what we're...
That's what this made me think of this article. That's
because
exactly right.
It's the same. If he saw that woman as his sister, as his mother,
grandmother,
as a neighbor,
Yeah.
then I think it would have been different.
Yeah.
But they don't see us the same.
Yeah.
That's why that issue of humanity I always speak about.
Mhm.
If you see me as your equal, if you see this brown person as the same as you may just think and give them what they need, because your job as an officer is to do that. But sometimes people bring
She was wearing
their
a
own
house
stuff.
coat. She had
Yeah.
called them for help.
Mm-hmm.
What made him think that she was going to throw? And even if, I'm going to say something, they're big strong police officers. So what if she had taken the kettle and thrown a little bit of hot water? They could have retreated and said, this is a woman mentally disturbed. Let's leave her alone. They had to fire a gun at her. I don't want any hot water coming on me. That's what he said
That's
afterwards.
what he said.
He said, I have to make sure I'm not going to get hot water coming on me. It was so ridiculous.
So that's why
It
that
was
Axios
tragic.
story is so important, because it is the same. When law enforcement deals with black people, it's something that we understand, male or female. We don't get the same benefit of the doubt. It's not always we're reaching for a gun or the compassion or humanity. That changes everything. And there's going to be more of it. Lisa, there's more stories. I mean, the young man who was in his own house eating ice cream on his couch. This is the suburbs also.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And a police officer comes in after a long day's work, I thought he was in my apartment.
Right.
Because she lives above him or below him, whatever it was. And she comes in and shoots him and kills him.
Yeah, that was a woman police officer.
That was insane. Wait, you don't know what your house looks like?
Yeah, right.
The pictures aren't going to be the same on the wall. The furniture, did you notice? Did the guy do a home makeover while you're at work? I mean, and literally.
Shoot first, ask questions later, like they're in the Wild West.
And it's crazy. How can you shoot this black man because you think he's sitting on your couch eating? So there's something that goes on with that mindset, Lisa. It's beyond the norm of people like us who are thinking logically, and but it's a burden that we carry, and that's why the relations between police and the black people are often very strained, because we know that can happen at any given time with the wrong officer. And, again, for the 10th millionth time, of course there's great officers that don't do that.
Yeah.
But that 1% comes in contact with hundreds and thousands of people potentially within their careers. So they can do a lot of damage. And that doesn't count the people that are treated a certain way. They wind up getting additional charges, so they get more charges when you don't have to have them. So for all you great officers, man, continue to do what you do. But people like that shouldn't have the badge. And I know it's hard, even when they try to get them out when they know what's going on. And it turns out that he had all kind of a history that he was fired from like 4 different places within 4 years within law enforcement. It was like he was moving around. Oh, yeah.
Well, then they knew he was a bad egg. We're going to be right back with Wayne Winston. Stick around.
The Lisa Wexler Show on WICC 600 AM and 107.3 FM. Did you miss part of the show? Grab Lisa's podcast. Just search in your favorite app.
Are you looking for a school for your child with a learning challenge? Winston Preparatory School is a leading school network for students with learning disabilities, including dyslexia, ADHD, and nonverbal learning disorders. Learn more about Winston Prep's highly individualized learning programs in Connecticut, Long Island, and New York that will help your child thrive. Visit winstonprep.edu for more information and schedule an in-person visit for a campus closest to you today.
Julia owed the IRS thousands.
I was paralyzed with fear.
Then
I heard a commercial for Optima Tax Relief.
Optima Tax Relief is the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and experts in the Fresh Start Initiative.
Optima Tax Relief settled my IRS tax bill.
Call Optima now for a free consultation.
It was amazing.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief. Here's what Connecticut is saying about Lisa Wexler.
You got chutzpah. You tell it the way it is.
Back to the Lisa Wexler Show on WICC 600.
And we're back with Wayne Winston. Wayne, we just have a few minutes to wrap up, but there was a story that made CT Capital report about New Haven apologizing. Tell us about that.
Well, New Haven apparently had a chance to have the first college that admitted black students. This was in the mid-1800s, and apparently it didn't happen because despite the advocates that were both black and white, there was a significant vote, something like 107 to like 4, that they just weren't ready for it. And this was just a college that would be admitting black students, which had been like early integration, or even they went as far as to say this would be the first black school. Later on, we got Spelman and Morehouse, et cetera.
I see.
But it could have been around much, much earlier. So Tom Ficklin, who was an alderman there, put forth a resolution that we should do an apology.
To whom?
To the citizens of New Haven, at least, that didn't get the chance to make that move in history. And they wonder what it would be like. And it was in cooperation with Yale, by the way, that if they had been able to do that, have the first black college here in New Haven, would have been pretty profound. And we know all the stuff that would have happened after it, but the fact that it's here rather than down south.
I see. And most of the black colleges, Spelman, Morehouse, Howard, they are down south.
Yes.
Which is ironic in its own way.
Yes, it is.
But, they were a big believer in separate but equal for a long time.
Let's
be honest.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That was their thing. So now, and to that end, I know you wanted us to play this. I think we have a chance to do it. Let's play. This is Tom Hanks. You wanted us to hear this clip. Why, Wayne?
Because Tom has a very interesting perspective on why black history isn't being taught. It's from a New York op-ed piece.
Okay. Let's see.
I will tell you, I read a New York Times piece on a 100-year-old survivor of the Tulsa Massacre. And my question was this. What's the Tulsa Massacre? I was taught American history every 3 years growing up. 5th grade, 8th grade, what comes after 11th grade, and then I studied in junior college, and I've read it ever since for pleasure. How is it that it wasn't until 2 years ago that I heard about the Tulsa Massacre? How is that possible? I've heard about.
And that's exactly it. That's the point.
And he goes as far as to say that type of decision, it would have enlightened him. It's about a minute and a half. There's even a 4-minute clip that you can just type in the Google search, Tom Hanks on Tulsa, and it'll come up for you. You need it. It's good listening just to know that the people out there, even in power, like a guy like Tom Hanks, he sees us all the same and wonders why he was denied that opportunity to know about that experience of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Thanks for coming in, Wayne Winston. We'll be back behind the mic tomorrow with another edition of the Lisa Wexler Show. Keep your dial tuned to WICC, AM 600, WICC600.com. And stay tuned. Paul Pacelli picks up the mic for Connecticut Today.
HD2 Westport, WPLR HD. Sewer Media, Southern Connecticut's news and information leader, WICC 600.
I'm Michael Toscano. Forecasters are telling us the heat is reaching its peak in the Midwest, approaching triple digits with air like a wet sponge. And CBS's Jim Krasula tells us relief can't come too soon for millions.
Record heat and high humidity have prompted many schools to close in parts of the Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. Tanya Ogden's son was actually looking forward to going to school in Des Moines, Iowa.
Actually, our AC went out at home last night, so it's not going to be any better for him now. He was excited to get to school for the